fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Little Debbie. No thanks. I'm a Tasty Cake fan, actually. But this little Category 1 cupcake named Debbie looks like she's going to fudge up part of our weekend here in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region. And we just have to see how quickly the remnants from this tropical storm go through our region and how far of an easterly or perhaps even westerly track at this point in the middle of the week that Debbie takes blowing through. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine, our weekly video fishing forecast for Thursday, August 8th, 2024. And first things first, this week we'll take a look at the latest NOAA Marine Weather forecast for the region as we head into this second week of August of 2024. Now keep in mind, a lot of this tracking information is from Wednesday afternoon, so you do want to keep an eye on this as you do head into the weekend. But inshore out of Atlantic City, out about 10 nautical miles. East winds gusting to 20 knots Thursday, southeast on Friday and Saturday, gusting to 25 knots or better. Wave heights, of course, are building into Sunday, which is when the winds are supposed to turn around out of the west, blow offshore, which is obviously good news. On the offshore grounds from the Hudson to Baltimore, why bother, right? No, actually, the midweek forecast is for this storm, to push a lot of garbage in on us as she's coming up. By the time she skedaddles, hopefully at the end of Saturday, maybe even earlier, these offshore winds behind, it actually looks like, according to the NOAA weather, that as this thing accelerates, Sunday could be a pretty good window if you're looking to head offshore and try to take advantage of some tuna fishing or something like that. Suffice to say, you can expect periods of rain, heavy rain on Friday, parts of the region through Saturday, along with those gusting winds. You just got to keep an eye out on the weather forecast, as always, all of us as fishermen do. A lot of the times, I like to track a lot of these tropical systems with the charts and the forecasts and the maps over at spaghettimodels.com. That's Mike's weather page. Great source if you've never seen it. Now, as the eternal optimist that I am, I'd say this tropical system arriving in our region this weekend should take us out of that persistent and persnickety south wind that we have seen through most of the summer. It's a pattern that has really been bad for us in so many different ways, and it's the primary culprit, in my opinion, on this rather dismal fluke season that we've had here at the Jersey Shore during the summer of 2024. A reminder for those fishing along the borders in New Jersey, New York, the minimum size limit on fluke changed heading into this past weekend, went from 19 inches up to 19 and a half inches. So if you leave port in New Jersey and you find yourself fishing in or transiting through New York waters, do not get caught with an 18-inch fluke in the box, because as soon as you're in New York waters, you are fishing under New York regulations. In Delaware, it's much the same. I actually had a trip planned out of Delaware this Friday with my dad and friend. We got weathered out, obviously. But if you're in the New Jersey, Delaware Bayshore, right? You're from New Jersey, and you know you've got that 17-inch Delaware Bayshore regulation. Over in Delaware, it's 17 and a half inches. So you don't want to be over the border in Delaware with a 17-incher in the box, because if you get boarded in Delaware, you're actually you're subject to a fine. That's Delaware Bayshore, New Jersey regulation, remember. I have brought this up before, but it's worth stating again. You are legally responsible for adhering to whatever state waters you happen to be in at that time. Your limits do not travel with you from your port out into rival state waters. You always have to pay attention to the state waters you're in at any particular time. So if you've got that 17-inch fluke, flounder, if you will, in the box on the Delaware side, and you say, no, I'm heading back over to Money Island or something, no, you're going to get popped. That's the way the rules work. You will find those regs for Delaware, New Jersey, and New York. It's on page 48 of the August edition of the Fisherman magazine that's out right now. So you can always turn to that particular page, rip out the page, laminate it, put it in the console. You always have that. Check out the table of contents in that August edition with the Wakefield's Joel on the cover, and Lee took the photo of that sheep's head. But in the glossy, that's what you're going to turn to first, that glossy table of contents. Surf rod selection, battling through a tough tuna bite, aftermarket rigging and jigging, the science of ecological interactions with Dr. Adam Aguiar from Stockton University, and a cool piece from Jeff Sorelli about how to fish with fluke spoons. Pretty cool article. In the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition, table of contents, again, 5 more feature stories. You've got Bobby Keeney's profile on the pacemaker, the wahoo, the all glass, a South Jersey favorite for striper fishermen. Also Nick Konicheski's spotlight on false albacore in the month of August. And George Schauer, our Pocono Outdoors guy, getting some Major League Fishing pro tips for bass. 2 additional articles. You've got that sheep's head article on page 28 by Bob Stavola, and Bob Misak's article on crab selections, which works for both sheep's head and tog. Of course, we've got that 1 fish bag limit back as of August 1st in New Jersey for jetty jocks who are gunning for a keeper of tog. Now, I haven't been able to get on the road, my boat, in a few days. Probably will be a few more before I get out. But the question of whether or not sheep's head are found in the upper stretches of Barnegat Bay, well, that was answered for me by Dylan Gollum over the past weekend. Upper Barnegat Bay, 6.2 pounds, weighed in at Gabriel Tackle in Brick. That was caught on a bottom sweeper jig, and I believe it was Asian shore crab, the invasive Asian shore crab. You can also use sand crabs, sand fleas, mole crabs, whatever you like to call them, cheddar crab, fiddler crabs, if you can find them. Again, Bob Misak's article in the August edition spells it all out. But again, it's the weather this week. The south winds and the south swell that we've had consistently through almost every single day of this summer so far, it's caused that cold water upwelling, it's impacted our fluke bite, and it's probably been the biggest problem at Manasquan Inlet, pushing sand from south to north, filling in the inlet, and creating a rather treacherous condition going into this tropical storm weekend. This is some rather extraordinary drone footage, courtesy of Tom Lynch at Angry Fish Gallery on Bay Avenue in Point Pleasant. A Viking, you can see, is coming in from the north, and you can see all that new sand filling the south side of the inlet. Folks actually beachcombing and fishing in the inlet as swells are jacking up there at the mouth of the Manasquan. As we follow that Viking west, farther into the Manasquan River, in Tom Lynch's video, you'll see the U.S. Army Corps is already on top of things. That was as of Tuesday. I believe the Army Corps dredge boat, the Murden, is getting a start on that shoaling problem. Just keep in mind, you want to be extremely careful heading in and out of Manasquan until that work is done. I'm not sure how long it's going to take or how this weekend's weather is going to interrupt the process, but it's narrow. It breaks deep and fast there on the south side of the inlet. There's not a lot of room for a lot of boats to negotiate through there. It's very treacherous with that shoaling and with the jacking waves through there. And again, be very careful, especially as this emergency dredging is going on with that Army Corps vessel in there. The system that moves through in the coming days, it should churn things up pretty well on the ocean waters. And I think that's a good thing as we mix up the bottom and present much better, perhaps more consistently summer-like water temperatures in the region. I do anticipate it's going to spur a pretty good fluke bite on the reefs, wrecks, and inshore snags, weather permitting, come next week. I heard from Kim Robinson this week. She was out with her husband and in-laws aboard Captain Mike Smith's Never Enough out of Avalon on Monday. They hammered away at the flatties on the local reefs and wrecks in South Jersey. Slow bite to start, Kim said, picked up as the day went on. Biggest of the day, pair of 4.87 pound fish for Ryan Robinson. Kim said they were using 1 to 1.5 ounce jig heads, their own homemade squid plastic grubs, also a top teaser with squid and killies. She did say it was the bucktail with the grub that was getting most of the action. I do really think, though, that the action is going to heat up on the ocean snags. Again, with all of that tropical system, it's going to mix up the water, it's going to mix up the bottom, hopefully get rid of some of that upwelling, that colder water. And if we get a temperature spike, especially on the bite, on the bottom, I think that's really going to be good for working the sticky stuff. So this is about the time where if you don't feel like captaining your way through those crags and rocks and reef, jump on a headboat, get yourself a charter boat, have the captain capably work through the sticky stuff while you focus on getting some of those doormats. My prediction, right after this storm, it's going to be good. Maybe as of Sunday, as this storm blows through and gives us a nicer day. Variety, spice of life, all about the summer fishery at the Jersey Shore. Tom Lawrence said he got this bluefish in South Jersey, around the Longport area to be precise. 6-pounder on an Ava jig with bucktail trailer. Now the big thing what Tom was telling me is the rest of the trip was slow pitch jigging for sea robins and more croakers. He said, I never knew croakers were so prone to hit slow pitch jigs. I remember catching them on a Hopkins Shorties many years ago. My dad will laugh if he hears this story. I was in high school, I'm sure, but waded out on the Outer Banks, throwing a Hopkins Shorty, and it was croaker after croaker, cast after cast. But I'm telling you right now, all the reports we're getting through the Fisherman magazine is the croakers are thick. Little Lake Harbor, Great Bay, all the way down into South Jersey, Delaware Bay. I see some folks doing very well down out of Fortescue as well, getting on those hardheads. The croaker, very tasty fish. So if you're looking to load the box and the fluke fishery has left you really frustrated, jump on some of these croakers. Give yourself a fish fry. Blowfish too, should be about that time of the year. I saw a neighbor of mine out last week, might have been the week before. I didn't see how he was doing, but anchored up in a hole with a chum log or two, put out the high-low rigs, smaller hooks with clam, bloodworm, or perhaps fish bites, bag of worms, but load up on some of those blowfish. It's got to be that time of year, right, for getting on those blowfish, chicken of the sea. And of course, you're going to load up on spot as well. Plenty of spot out there. They make great doormat baits, so don't throw them out if you're getting a bunch of them saying, wow, must have caught a dozen or two. Doormat bait, baby, absolutely. Out of Barnegat Inlet this past week, I heard from an old friend, Ed Masunis. He said his son Tom is getting married this month, chose Dad as his best man. How about that? That's a wise move too, because Ed arranged a bachelor party trip that involved some tuna fishing aboard the Miss Leanne out of Forked River. Captain Ray Lopez, First Mate George, Captain George, they came through. Everyone on board had a bluefin around the Tolton Lump area. Mostly early morning trolling, crazy eights on spreader bars, though Ed did see some boats jigging. So that jigging time is good. I've got some friends and neighbors who are out jigging on a consistent basis. Some of those smaller bluefin, so they are on the mid-range grounds as well at this point. We've been talking a lot about them. We talked about bluefin tuna last week, but we did talk about the fact that they're just off the beach. Ed says, by the way, he watches our weekly updates regularly. Said, quote, Jenni is really coming into her own with the open boat. Excellent job with Shell E. Karras. Said he's probably going to be buying some jerk baits for Fluke soon. If you saw that open boat feature last week, as another buddy of mine did, Bob Lick, he said, tongue-in-cheek, yeah, Shell really kept his secret spot secret, didn't he? If you saw that, you'll appreciate this week's episode. Episode number 60. Jenni's been here for 60 weeks. Awesome. She's collected a boatload of questions about fluke, stripers, high-low rigs, and more. Part 1 of Jenni's Q&A open boat right now.
Hey everyone, what's up open boaters? We hit episode 60. We're over the hill and we're into episode 60. I don't know what they say for your 60th birthday, but I just know 50's over the hill. So we're over the hill and we're still doing great. So today we are taking your burning questions. I have the fireplace in the background here to fit the theme. No, it is not lit, but I'll add a little flame for the burning questions because it's 100 degrees outside and raining, so there's no way it would be on. But burning questions, we're answering them. So first off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my open boat burning questions. They were all respectable questions and they were great and very, 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 very good inquiries that I'm very stoked to answer. So without further ado, let's get into it. And of course, I'm gonna split this section up into multiple open boat episodes because they're like I said, they're good questions and I'm gonna elaborate on the answers. So instead of droning on and on and on, I'm gonna cut it into 3 parts. So if your question doesn't get answered in this episode, don't worry, next week it will. So let's get right into it. The first question, Frankie Z2369 asks, what is the name of your favorite boat to fish from? Now I wonder who asked this question. Reflecting upon Open Boats episode 1, 11, 18, 55, and many more to come, you'll know that answer. Surreals. Okay, next question from Roman. Roman wonders what determines the distance between the teaser and the jig, and the distance between the high and the low in a high-low rig. So the biggest thing with this, it depends on the species that you're targeting and land or boat. So for starters, the basic thing with the length in between is you don't want them to be too close for a chance, for example, with your bucktail teaser to get tangled. Same deal with the high-low. If you're sea bass fishing with a high-low, sometimes you have 1, 2, 3 droppers with the high-lows with the hook. Same high-low rig too. Sometimes I do 3, but the more hooks, you gotta calculate the distance and you gotta figure out that they're not gonna interfere. So you don't wanna get them tangled. For the high-low, you gotta keep everything spaced out so you don't have that interference, and the distance away from the sinker usually is like 10 to 12 inches. And your main mission when you're tying your own rigs is you don't wanna have that interference. The key word to this answer is interference. And if something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Like for example, when I tie my bucktail teaser rigs for the boat, if something doesn't look right, I will literally redo it and start all over again. Same thing with all my other rigs, because rig failure is a serious thing and we don't want that. No rig failure. If you watch my blackfish videos, you know how much I stress rig failure. You don't want that. So going back to the bucktail teaser rig, I'll post an image here of the bucktail teaser rig I use for pitching up current. And for starters, I always make sure I have 12 inches of leader from your barrel swivel before you start the actual teaser dropper loop, because 1, I hate jewelry being too close to the bait, because sometimes that swivel and even the braid can dissuade a fish from striking. So I leave plenty of leader before I start tying my rig. If there's a sand eel bite, you can do sand eel teaser and you can do an SP minnow. That's the perfect combo right there for that, like during the fall run, if and when we have sand eels. I wouldn't recommend doing it for peanut bunker, but that's a whole other story. So you want that teaser to be presented, and you want that bigger plug to be presented because it looks like a tiny bait fish being chased by a bigger bait fish, so that striper will hit that. You don't want that barrel swivel close because it kind of just interferes with it. So having it 12 inches up, you're good.
Now is the best time to buy a boat at the Jersey Shore Boat Sale and Expo. Fishing boats for inland and offshore. Tons of center consoles. September 27th through 29th, Shoretown Ballpark, home of the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. Tickets at jerseyboatexpo.com.
Life is better with a boat.
To see more of Jenni's complete 10-minute Q&A this week, look for the Open Boat feature at YouTube. It premieres this Sunday night, the entire stretch, the entire question and answer session. Again, Sunday night on the Fisherman Magazine's YouTube channel. Summer weather, tropical systems, summer visitors. More and more cobia are showing up on the inshore and mid-range grounds, especially around those bunker schools. You'll see this week in our weekly digital edition, mahi on the inshore grounds, mid-range grounds as well. Just look for the weekly cover. That's Kevin Froese on the cover. We talked about him with his record tilefish last week. That's our digital weekly. When you subscribe to the Fisherman Magazine, $29.95, you get the monthly print edition, nice and thick, got everything you need for the whole month. That's 12 of those a year, but you'll also get 26 digital weekly editions sent to your email every Monday. That means another handful of feature stories every single week. You'll see it in the table of contents at this week's digital edition. Plus the full complement of fishing reports every single week in that digital edition. 13,000 words or more worth of reports packed into the digital weekly. $29.95 per year, and you are a member. Katerina Kritikos emailed this week wondering what was in the trap that she set out near Deepwater Landing Marina in Shark River. Now, she had a seahorse. We already knew that one. She knew that, but she also said she had this baby barracuda. It's actually a northern sennit, but it is indeed an ocean-going species from the barracuda family. So that's correct as well. But the other unidentified critter, we had spoken about this a few weeks back, the orange one there, that appears to be a short big eye. A lot of these little guys, the short big eye, have been spotted at the Jersey Shore this season. Many folks in the southeast refer to them as toro snapper. That's according to Wikipedia. But it's not actually a member of the snapper family. But yeah, it does look a lot like Nemo or something of the like. Short big eye. The other big eye tuna, sometimes referred to as eyeballs, they're at the canyons, and they should be there with the yellowfin and the billfish and the wahoo after this weekend's storm. And inshore, mid-range, like I said before, you have those bluefin on the prowl. Al Ratono from the Staten Island Fishing Club sent this shot of his buddy Phil Di Lorenzo with a 70-incher from Little Italy, fell for a dead-sticked Ron Z. Now, we're going to look at some of the upcoming events in the region in about 3 minutes, but first, let's head west for our freshwater update with my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, it's a bit windy and soggy outside right now, so I jumped here in the studio, kind of give you the report here for the upcoming weekend. Things could get a little dicey on the remnants of Debby heading up our way, so we'll see how things go, but if you guys get out, be sure you be safe and be careful. Some of the good fishing guys right before the storms, as always, some guys did get out earlier this week, and they got on some great fish. Hopefully that bite stays after this storm pushes through. We can get right back out on the fish. Certainly we'll have some cooler temperatures, or should have some cooler temperatures after this blows through, so we'll see what happens. On the Delaware River, my good friend Tim Keebler, well, he was out throwing some topwater and managed to get into a beautiful, absolutely stunning striper for the river this time of year. We do that they hold over, they hang around a while. There's a great food source in the river, so why wouldn't they? But there are some great stripers out on the river right now. And of course, topwater is a fantastic way to go and get them on the Delaware. Now, staying on the Delaware, we do have Laura Yates. Well, she was out on the Delaware, but this time going for a flathead. Now, this is something I've been dying to do, and here Laura has picked up her very new best PB, 39.8 pound flathead, and that's a great fish to release afterwards. But great work there, Laura. Congratulations on that new PB. Also, if you go over to the Susquehanna River, still some great fishing out there. We have my very good friend Shane Fry. Well, he was out working on some smallmouth and kept putting the hurting on him pretty good as well. He and his friend Logan Bloomfield both out there scoring big on those bronze backs. So something to do once the storm blows through. Maybe we can get out and get on them as well. Also, we had an old timer that we used to talk about here quite a bit, Justin Lerner. Well, he's visiting us from Florida, and of course he had to stop, wet a line up in North Jersey. Well, Justin managed to get himself into a huge pike here. So good work there, Justin. You know, always lots of great fish in North Jersey, and of course you certainly know where to find them. So guys, let's see how the storm manages through this coming weekend. Looks like it could be a little dicey. Rivers and creeks might get a little bit high and fast. So maybe just stick to the smaller lakes and ponds and see how this thing blows through. But whatever you do, get out, be safe, be dry, and get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Hellmaster EX. This award-winning system features the first single-engine joystick with digital electric steering and new autopilot capability. See Hellmaster EX in action at a Yamaha Outboard dealer or visit YamahaOutboards.com.
Looking for a 28 outrage? This 2018 Boston Whaler with twin 250 Verados fully loaded has just been reduced to $169.5. Contact Eric at 609-597-7813.
Torn from the pages of the Fisherman magazine August edition, page 9 actually, our calendar of events for the month. You've got the White Marlin Open, that's going on this week. It's followed by the White Marlin Invitational out of Beach Haven, that's next week. You also have the Ocean City Marlin and Tuna Club's annual event. That's going on in between. But we'll have to see what happens with this Saturday's events. You've got the ASAC Youth event in Harvey Cedars and the Shillelagh in Belmar. Even now, Thursday, it's still too hard to tell. That storm could come up our way and just be zipping, zagging out of here by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. Could hang with us. I'm hoping for the best. I always do. Next week, from our calendar of events, you have the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council. It will convene with our brand new New Jersey representative, Greg Hewitt, from the Big Mohawk in Belmar. He's taken over Captain Adam Nowalski's slot. Adam termed out, can't run anymore this time, but it is great to see the torch passed down from one incredible advocate of our recreational fishing community to the other, from Adam to Greg. Greg, we wish you all the luck and support here in the New Jersey recreational fishing community. You know we've got your back, and anything you need, you just let us know. That meeting, by the way, Mid-Atlantic Council, they're the ones that manage so many of our important fisheries, black sea bass, fluke, porgy, bluefish, right? They are meeting at the Westin Hotel in Philadelphia. So if you're in Philly next week, and you want to stop by to an open meeting and see exactly how our fish sausages get stuffed, go ahead and stop by. Read more about the Council, the Mid-Atlantic, and the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council, where Hewitt should get the call soon. He and John Tiedemann from Monmouth University, both their names are sitting right now in the Senate Judiciary Committee in Trenton, New Jersey, just waiting for the New Jersey Senate to approve their appointments to the state level council. My editor's log from the August edition, it explains more. Now, in this week's edition, the editor's log, it's a guest editorial. I turned the column over to Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who has a few thoughts on industrial offshore wind, who just happens to echo my thoughts on industrial offshore wind. But Van Drew represents every coastal town from Berkeley Township in Ocean County all the way down to the tip of Cape May. The congressman says industrial offshore wind will be harmful to our billion-dollar fishing economy. That's commercial and recreational. Still no word yet from the Government Accountability Office, the nonpartisan watchdog group on Capitol Hill, which is doing an extensive investigation into industrial offshore wind, theoretically weighing all the pros and cons, deciphering the madness that's coming from both sides of the political aisle. And I'm still confident that that GAO report will echo many of the concerns that we have in the fishing community. Now, I still do believe they're cleaning up fiberglass from that turbine disaster up in Nantucket from Vineyard Wind, the very first full industrial offshore wind project. Vineyard Wind was the very first, and we've already got turbines blowing up and washing fiberglass debris all over the beaches and into our coastal environment. Which brings us to the headline of the week. The good folks at NOAA Fisheries are doing a survey right now in Louisiana, asking coastal residents there what they think of the potential for industrial offshore wind. It's not unlike the Marine Recreational Information Program these folks run. They must have lost my mailing address for my random survey in New Jersey. But I did get in touch with the folks at NOAA about this, and I asked, did we get excluded? NOAA's Amy Freitag, who was quoted in that article I just shared, her team has coordinated other similar surveys in the Carolinas, but she told me via email that nothing of the like was done in the Garden State, nor is it planned at this point. So apparently the southern states are randomly more important than we are. Look up random in Wikipedia. I'm sure this image is going to appear not far from there. Yeah, random. Today, don't miss the latest new product review, the showcase item from ICAST. It's the D-Hooker human dehooking device. The Fisherman editorial team was out at ICAST last month, of course, an event that I've been attending off and on for the past 22 years. And in all of those visits to ICAST, not once have I ever seen a manufacturer purposely put a rig, a hook, a jig into somebody's arm just so that they can show how easy it was to pull it out with their brand new tool. Seriously, you should have seen the crowd standing around Jenni and I as they hooked a guy and then de-hooked him. Take a look at that. It's a unique device, a one-of-a-kind video, but it's one of the many videos that we share bi-weekly. We had the Tsunami Saltex announcement earlier this week. We did that review last year. Everybody was looking for the Saltex 2, the 3000 and the 4000 version. Well, check your tackle shops. They're in, they're sold out, more come in, they're selling out. But again, you get that bi-weekly report, new product review from the Fisherman magazine each and every week, twice a week. Keep an eye on the weather, obviously, but take heart in knowing that after the gusting easterlies on Thursday into Friday, we're looking at cleanup sets Saturday into Sunday. Should shake things up. I definitely really see that. If you can get out on Saturday, obviously that's the way to do it. Maybe this storm moves through much faster than they're predicting. You just got to keep an eye on it. I recommend spaghettimodels.com for all those charts. But again, I think by Sunday morning, things are going to look really good. West winds are going to blow. Things are going to change up. And heading into next week, I'm just hoping I don't look at the NOAA Marine forecast and see more south winds. But I definitely think we're in for a good stretch. Wish me luck, because I'm going to go out Sunday morning and look for some of those upper Barnegat Bay sheepshead. I'm convinced they're there on some of the rubble and the structure and the riffraff. Again, wish me luck. I need all the luck I can get. Catch them up. I'll see you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.
We had no Dreamboat entries for this week. Mother Nature won out and will probably win out this week again. But you still have until November 30th to enter the Dreamboat Fishing Contest. The leaderboard stands at Scott Waterman with 17 points, Brian Zembreski with 13 points, tied with him is Anthony Savino with 13 points. Now let's check in with New England editor Dave Anderson with the latest from the Coastal Kayak Clash.
It's easy to see that hardtail season has begun in the CKC. This week we have 2 entries and they're both in the hardtail category. Todd Treones tops the hardtail leaderboard with his 19-inch bonito, and Justin Oster grabs second place with this 17.5-inch bonito. And with that, the tie is finally broken. The top of the leaderboard now looks like this. Mike Radziszewski remains in third place with 6 points. Bob Wagner drops to second place with 9 points, and Justin Oster tops the charts with 11 points. Keep an eye on Todd Treones. He's hanging just shy of the top 3 with 5 points.
Get all the details and rules for the Coastal Kayak Clash and the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge at thefisherman.com/contests.